Hey, welcome, Peter.
Yes, I did.
All right. Catherine's ready? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. So 6:30, welcome to the select board meeting for May 18th. And we have to have it recorded, which is underway. Have the roll call votes. And we'll be all set.
Here.
And so
Peter Clay's here.
and Gary Cheeseman here. So roll call is complete on that. And onward then with any public comments. So any hands up there, Michelle, in the audience?
Nope, I don't see any.
All right, so let's move right along with the slideshow then, if we could.
Okay. Can you see it?
Yep, we got it. So one more page and we'll have
Okay,
Tom go ahead with announcements.
thank you very much, Gary. I think this is my final Tuesday night here, so I think I'm going to stretch this out like a filibuster, and so I won't leave here. I'll just do announcements and reports. But the first announcement, and this is always good for our residents, for those who wish to save money on their water bill and also conserve water, that our rain barrels are again available for purchase. Our town, through the Great American Rain Barrel Company, is excited to offer rain barrels for purchase at the discounted rate of $79. Wenham is offering residents an additional discount of $40 with the coupon. If you go online, it is Wenham 22. How to order this is very simple. Go on to the website for greatamericanrainbarrel.com/community/ and select your town and state. For us to be Wenham, Massachusetts. The deadline to order them is June 16th. Once you order them, you may be able to pick them up on Saturday, June 25th, between the hours of 8 and noon at a DPW garage up on 91 Grapevine Road. If you have any questions, please contact our water department at 978-468-5520, extension 6. Okay, announcements. Memorial Day activities going forward. At 10:15 at Cheeseman Memorial at Pingree Field is the beginning of our activities and our ceremonies. At 11 a.m., the Memorial Day ceremony at the Veterans Memorial. And once that concludes at noon, refreshments and lunch at the firehouse. And again, thank you, Chief Kavanaugh, for providing that.
Well, welcome.
Okay.
Right into the your report then, Tom.
Yes, I have a number of items here. Generally, they're all good. And some of these are future items that the board will be needing to deal with. The first is an update on the Cutler School building project. As you know, the MSBA back in April approved us going into the feasibility study phase. I met with town manager of Hamilton and Superintendent Tracy last week on this. And they're going to be looking for us. We'll get a formal request to be members of the school building committee. I've done probably 6 or 7 school building projects, but never one with a regional aspect of it. So I'm not 100% sure of what our membership is to be on that committee, but I am sure that the TA, in this case, when Steve becomes the TA next week, Steve Poulos will be on the committee. The select board has to make an appointment from them, from amongst the 3 of you, to be on the committee. And the finance committee would have to make an appointment amongst them to be on the committee. The other membership will be coming from Superintendent Tracy, depending upon how many residents they want to have on the committee. If they need other parties of expertise to be on it. This begins the process and is required by the Mass School Building Authority. Also, the MSBA does state the type of membership that has to be on. So it's just not putting anybody on that you wish. Some of the items have restrictions to have architectural or engineering experience, facility management experience. But Superintendent Tracy, who I've asked to come at one of your meetings in June, will come and present this to you regarding what is going to be required. But at a minimum, it will be Steve, a member of the select board, and a member of the finance committee at this point, with probably members of the public and maybe some other individuals with expertise. A little more information of this is he has to make the committee has to be formed and submitted to MSBA no later than July 1st. So I've asked superintendent to be at one of your 2 meetings in June, but more than likely it'd be the first meeting to get that information.
Tom,
Yes,
so
Oh,
when I was reading through the minutes of our 5:13 minute meeting, I noticed in there that it said that the school committee is looking to create a new building committee together. So I kind of jumped the gun here and sent a note off to Dana Alara saying that I'd love to join if she still has space. So I now realize that that's not my decision to make. So
well, a little bit on that, Peter, is because we're a 3-member board. If you were 5, maybe you could be eligible because it wouldn't be a quorum. But if you're selected as a select board member, that's fine. If somebody else wanted to be on there and the board made that decision, but that's up to the board.
right.
Okay. But it has to be submitted to MSBA by no later than July 1st. Also, for timing purposes, they are looking to have a special town meeting in the fall to fund the feasibility plan. They're looking for Saturday, October 1st, to be very similar to how we run town meetings here, where they would go first in the morning, then we would go in the afternoon on that. The estimated cost, and don't go to the bank on this, our share would be approximately, according to the superintendent, maybe about $270,000 for the study. Obviously, Hamilton's is much higher than that. There's various ways how it can be funded. I have ideas, but by the time we get to that, Steve will be here. So Steve and Jamie and the superintendent and all that will work with the board and the school building committee about how to fund that project. A little information for some of the individuals maybe watching us, and I was putting some history on it. The Cutler School was built in 1952, and it was renovated in 1990. And the last number for enrollment out of the MSBA for this year was 253. So there's a lot of planning going to go forward on this project over the next couple of years to get this project developed and ongoing. So looking forward to having what comes out of this. I wish the board the best and whoever they put on here to working on this project. And it takes some time, but if it's well thought out, such you'll have a wonderful new school going forward. Any questions on that? Yes, Diane.
Yes. Who did you say was going to have a town meeting?
Hamilton, because of the regional district, they have to fund their share and we have to fund our share.
So
Yeah.
we all decide, we need to have a town meeting, right?
Yes.
Yes, both
They-
towns.
Both towns need to have a town meeting, and they decided on October 1st, or they're
That was
recommending?
a recommendation. Nothing.
Okay.
To my understanding, nothing is official on
Okay.
that. But according to the superintendent, they would like to have it on the same day.
Oh, yeah, probably. Okay.
Whether the board, by October, if there's anything else the board wants to put on the agenda or the warrant, not certain. Hamilton may, but October 1st is the date that the superintendent was talking about.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next, more good news for the public. I know the board of select board is, I've been reporting this to them, but the Senate Ways and Means budget has come out and will be debated by the Senate next week. We received a little more aid, received about $1,300 in library aid, which was an increasement of $1,300 from the House budget. And we received almost $1,100 more in reimbursement of state-owned land. What that is because we don't tax the state for it, for state-owned land. They give us a slight reimbursement. When I mean slight, our reimbursement total is now $4,700. Some of the larger communities who have, larger with state-owned lands, such who have correctional facilities and such as Bridgewater. I know Bridgewater received about another $100,000 more in that. But our land is generally open space, state land or park type land, so we're not going to get much reimbursement on that. But it's better than nothing, and I appreciate the Senate for taking that up. Our final number was our regional school district received another $11,300 in transportation funding. So that moved up from 455 basically to 466. We will see how this all shakes out in the conference committee report when they have to bring these numbers together between the House and Senate for approval. But which is good for us because we always basically are conservative in our local aid numbers. And since we were conservative in the budget, generally this will move off into free cash going forward next year. Also on the expense side of the Senate Ways and Means budget, there was no increase. So that was good. They're giving us a little more money, but not charging us. The other item, which we'll see maybe by the end of the week, whether it stays in the budget. I was able to, in discussions with Senator Tarr, have him help fund the West Wenham Park project as an outside line item. So there's $20,000 at least proposed in the Senate budget for Wenham as basically seed money for the West Wenham Park project. So if that stays in there and it stays in the conference committee and stays past a governor's veto, there will be an additional $20,000 coming down to the town to begin the West Wenham Park project for studies and such. So,
Let me interrupt and say that we should thank Tom for this effort because this is a one-man initiative on his part to find and get this money rolling, and hopefully it comes through. Thank you, Tom.
I was trying to give you a farewell gift. I asked for
Right.
more money, but
20,000 is a pretty nice gift.
if you want to know how much I asked for, add another zero to it. But I thank Senator Tarr for, there's a lot of items in the budget, so $20,000 is very helpful if it gets through. Thank you. Next. While we're talking about money, and I know Peter was talking with me about this at the last meeting about the emergency generator. I was able to find a grant program that's coming down the road for hazardous mitigation grant money from MEMA that will fund emergency generators up to 90% reimbursement. So facilities manager I spoke with, and he's going to be looking into applying for that fund. We do have a minimal amount of being able to keep our operations running at town hall, hooked into the police station, fire station, but it doesn't have the capability beyond keeping literally our lights on, Mike told me. And so an emergency generator would keep town hall operating. Let's say we had a very tough snowstorm and everything was down for days. We could still be operating with a full emergency generator. So Mike will be looking at our facilities manager to see about eligibility, but it's a 90% reimbursement.
Wow.
Money is out there if you look for it.
Yeah.
It's key, particularly the past couple of years, they want to grant us money. I've also asked this week our DPW director to look into Reconnecting Communities pilot grant program, which is also such a mitigation program, but a lot of it is for accessibility. When we're talking accessibility for Wenham, it's improving our sidewalks for ramping, for handicap accessibility. And this grant program is out there right now for the funding of it. And I forwarded to Rich Souza to take a look into it to see if we can be eligible for some of that. While we're talking about DPW, and I put this out to the board last week, but just out to the public at large, is National Grid will be installing and upgrading a new gas service on Walnut Road. And I apologize if I am pronouncing this incorrectly, Sias or Sias Lane.
Science.
Sias?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Through July 28th. They will be notifying all the residents on those streets going forward. And that's an improvement on the line because there's feelings on it that has possibilities for leakage and repair work. So they want to take care of that going forward through June and possibly no later than the end of July. And that should be it, Mr. Chairman, at this time. I want to thank you for having me here again. And Peter, I wish you the best on your term as board.
Thank you.
Diane, it was a pleasure working with you both in a professional capacity and as a board member. And all the department heads and the team. Thank you very much. The most professional and obviously qualified team I've worked with, and I will miss you. But particularly, I will miss the residents of Wenham. You've been very nice inviting me into your home twice. And never a dull moment, but I mean that in a good way. And I'm very confident that when Steve Poulos comes on, that he will be embracing you in the same manner. So thank you. And I think if Wynn and Harriet are still on there watching, thank you both. It's very important for residents to take interest in the town. And I appreciate your insights and discussions over the past years. My only regret is that because of COVID, I did not get to see as many people or deal with as many public ceremonies and such. But I wish you all the best, and let's go through our meeting.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom, and I think we'll have a few words at the end. But right now, let's press through the list items here. So the chair's report. Is cycling around Michelle's work this week. So we've had very important updates on committees, the appointment list and so forth. So we can plan on the 7th to conduct the appointments for all the employee positions. And we'll start advertising tonight, the openings for boards and committees. And we're targeting for people to submit their applications, and that's whether you're an incumbent or a newcomer for any of the open slots on the boards and committees. And of course, everyone has one or more available. So hopefully people are volunteering shortly, and we'll be looking to make the boards and committee appointments on the 21st of June at that board meeting, so that at the start of the fiscal year, we'll have everybody in place and rolling along. So we've got that huge spreadsheet updated, and we're working on updating committee charges. And at the 7th of June, we'll close out some of the past committees that have wrapped up, such as the TA screening committee and so forth. So we'll disband those and we're just doing some administrative cleanup. All right. And I said, we're looking forward to Superintendent Tracy. I think he's actually, last I heard, coming on the 7th. So that'll give us a good roadmap on the building of the new school. Over to you, Diane. Any news?
Hi, yeah, no, I'm sorry. I had to switch computers, so now I can't, I'm Bill Tyak, I think.
Okay,
Right.
Yeah, I can't remember how to change it, and now my screen isn't showing anything, so anyway, I wanted just to thank Tom, obviously, for everything, but also, Jamie, we got a quarterly report. I think that came today. I haven't had a chance to look at it, and Trudy for the committee handbook, which looks amazingly full, chock full of information, which I think is great. And I just wanted to remind everybody about the water restriction. I know we mentioned it before, but I did see that it was up. It's not a water ban, it's just a restriction for conservation. And then I just like to ask that at the end of the meeting, we can talk about all the different events that are coming up and who's going to be at what.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's it for me.
All right. Peter?
Oh, I was actually, it was 2 weeks ago. I participated in a Zoom meeting with Bruce Tarr. And it's not the Ipswich Valley Watershed Association, it's somebody else. But Bruce presented a couple things. And there was one little bullet in there. And I'm trying to work with his assistant so I can get the slide, where basically what he wants to do, or what the Senate's trying to do, is to get all the towns play by the same rules. And which would be big. Because that means that, Beverly can't be just pumping water on their lawns all season long while we're, on a water ban. So I'm guardedly optimistic on that one, so we'll see what happens.
So just as a reminder, a lot of folks, perhaps newcomers to town, the early assumption is that Wenham Lake is the source of Wenham water, and it's not. We have the pumps down on Pleasant Street, which is our source, and that the Ipswich River is designated as one of the most threatened rivers in all of America. And so we certainly hope that Senator Tarr can work that project through for us. And also flipping back to the start, for those that conservation minded, and if we run into a drought, those rain barrels are a pretty good deal. Save water. All right, let's move along then to item A. So do we have a representative from the Little League Association with us tonight?
Yes, you do. Lou Levesque, I'm here to represent.
Lou Levesque, welcome.
Hey, everybody.
So tell us about the new addition to Pingree Field that you're proposing.
Sure. So similar to what's there now, we're looking to basically duplicate the scoreboard that you find in the back right-hand field of Cheeseman Field. And we're looking to see if we can put one of those identical scoreboards in a similar area against that tree line for the Babe Ruth Field that stands in the middle of the property. And then another one to the left-hand tree line for the what was always black baseball field, but has now been converted to a universal field to make way to get the girls of Hamilton Wenham softball down at what we now see as our premier park, Pingree Park. So 2 additional scoreboards. The difference between these. Hello, am I here?
Breaking up just a bit, but go ahead.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. The difference between the scoreboards that we're proposing and the one that's at Cheeseman is that these 2 are solar powered. So there'll be no need for any digging or trenching for wires and no additional draw on town electricity. They'll be powered by the sun. And that's one element. I'm not sure if the PowerPoint has been shared, but this was all clearly demonstrated on a PowerPoint we created for you. And then the other thing we'd like to add, also similar to the dugouts at Cheeseman and at Black, are a set of the same dugouts for the Babe Ruth field, which is at the middle, so that all 3 fields down there will have identical dugouts and scoreboards in the end. That's the essence of the proposal. These items are going to be completely 100% funded by us, the Little League. The money is already largely raised and soon to be fully raised. And all
Looks
it
like you
me or-
might be
Okay.
frozen there, Lou. So Lou may catch up with us, but Peter and Diane, we got the full, are you back with us, Lou?
yeah, I'm with you. Can you hear me?
Now we do.
Okay, let me make sure I don't have a teenager downstairs streaming anything. One quick moment.
Can we see the PowerPoint on the screen? Because I can't see it again.
Are you able to bring that up, Michelle?
Oh, I thought it was share. I can see it on mine. You can't see anything? What do you-
No,
No,
it's
we just,
just your
Okay.
outline.
Hold on one second.
Can you folks hear?
Sorta.
I'm home alone, so there's no one else to blame.
all right.
Can you
I
see
could
that?
sh-
No,
No, we
no, I'm
You
sorry.
we just see the roster of the slides on your.
I
Lou,
could,
we were trying to get the slides up for you. 1 second here.
yep, no problem. I could share it on my end as well.
Um,
It might be
I
easier to
don't-
have Lou
I-
show it.
Yeah, I'll make you the co-host and then you can share the slides. So you're the co-host now.
Okay, great.
I don't know what's wrong with mine.
Yeah, I think what's happening on your end is that you're sharing your screen and we can see it, but you must have dual monitors and you're sharing the wrong one.
I just
Um,
have one.
Oh,
Weird.
wow, that's interesting. One
Well, give it a
moment.
try, Lou. See if you can bring them up.
There we go.
Okay.
Are you able to see that?
Yes, we're good now.
Great. Let me make it a little bigger for you. All right, great. So this was the slide presentation that we had done. I'll spare you all the text. It basically highlights why we think it's important, and I'll go to the visuals.
Mhm.
So this is essentially where we're thinking about the scoreboard for the Black field, which is now really a softball and baseball field. There's no in-town scoreboard for the girls. So this would be the single field on which they would have a scoreboard. And as you can see, it's tucked into the tree line just before the playground. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
and that'll be solar powered. And again, this scoreboard is the same as the one that we have down at Cheeseman. And I'll just flip through in order here. And then this would be the middle field, the Babe Ruth field, and the scoreboard. Again, I think they're best tucked into the tree line, but I do know that there's, discussion of potentially a skate park, maybe some various change in access to that back. We could really put this anywhere. I'd love to do a site visit, maybe on regards to the location with any member of this committee and maybe think that through. But, I think tucked against the trees would be best. And then this slide highlights that there's a ton of flexibility there. That's more or less redundant. This is a slide that shows really how small these scoreboards are in the scale of this very vast park. That's the Cheeseman one. And then I think this next slide will do well to show you topographically. So this is the Cheeseman location. And then we're proposing that we put the other two right on that same line so that they would just be like tucked into the trees essentially. And am I still clear and not broken up?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, good. Thank
Okay,
God.
so Lou, I got a question for you.
Yes, of course.
So knowing all those fields very intimately, when
Mhm.
you tuck the two into the trees, are you gonna have enough sunlight to generate enough solar power?
Yeah, we did go over that concern with the solar company, and the majority of the day they'll be properly powered. They are in a variety of different towns, installed with varying degrees of tree obstruction. I showed this very slide to the manufacturer, and they thought we were just fine. And you know, they'll even the one down there at Cheeseman, it's still separated enough from the trees that for 3/4 of the day it'll be covered. It'll be sunlit.
Great.
The slides for the scoreboards, this one here just shows that the only footprint, true footprint, would really just be these concrete cylinders. There'd be no other digging or trenching. And even though it's likely there's no underground concerns there, we will in fact, you know, follow all proper protocols, dig safe, etc. And the controls are password protected to an app which is controlled by cell phone. So in fact, these will be scoreboards that we can very easily share with other users of the park, say soccer, for instance. Soccer who play down there, who have games for youth, they could very easily use these scoreboards to demonstrate the score of, you know, a featured youth game at any time. We'll happily share these with any users. And that's the end of the scoreboard presentation. Are there any questions regarding the scoreboards?
Diane, Peter,
Am I
Nope.
on? So I was concerned in the beginning until I saw the topographical map. I just wanted to make sure that we could still be able to use the park for, you know, obviously town meeting if we need it, but also, you know, for another big event like we had for the 375th. So I think it's a great idea to put them where you have them.
Great.
It works
Thank
well
you
for
that.
everybody.
Yeah, there, and it's worth noting that these very two same scoreboards were just approved at Patton Park. So in fact, Little League is if allowed across the board, purchasing and donating for these
That's great.
this year. We wanted this to have been, you know, and just in terms of Wenham, I think it was shared, but the rec committee is on board with this. And also in his work approving the scoreboards for Hamilton, the building inspector has already signed off on the stamped engineer drawings and the specs for the installation at Pingree Park. Just really waiting for this body to make a decision.
any comments, Peter?
Well, as the proud father of a Hamilton Wenham High School baseball player, it just blows my mind that we don't have a scoreboard where the high school plays. And I think it's really interesting and clever of Babe Ruth to have actually joined you guys so they get all the funding.
Well, that may or may
So
not.
here's my request, Lou. Think about it. Maybe next year as a great way to help the town is maybe you could donate an $8,000 sign for scoreboard for the baseball team.
I'll have you know, and this is a well-timed gloat for me. One of the two that were previously approved is in fact for your high school baseball field.
No kidding.
Yes.
Awesome.
Already fully approved and the order is underway. So I think it'll miss the whole of this season, but by first pitch next year, the high school will have a Hamilton Wenham Little League donated scoreboard.
Wow. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
I don't think I've ever been so prepared in a board meeting for that answer as I was.
So Lou, one question here, not a question, but for the public information, could you indicate how many players we have enrolled this summer?
Yes, it's just a tick under 400, all leagues combined. And I like to generally then multiply that by, 1 to 2 guardians, per household. And we're really talking about a community of, 1,000 plus, and that's before we even get into siblings. So we have a pretty meaningful following here in the Little League. And we just had our parade, and there had to have been no less than I would say 1,200 people down there for that parade. It was just
Sounds good. So Diane or Peter, any questions on the dugouts too?
No,
So-
go ahead.
I'm sorry, quick question. Are we doing 2 separate votes for this for acceptance, or are they both together?
I think we're got it together as one
Okay,
one
alright.
full project.
okay. Great. I'll do you want me to just flash through real quick the dugout slides just so that we can sort
Yeah,
of
maybe just the the photos there so that the
Yep.
public can see what we're talking about.
Sure. So exactly identical, including the sourcing of these as the ones at Cheese. And 20 by 6 by 8. It really seems quite big, but if you look at this picture, you can actually see to scale how really insignificant they are in the footprint of these as opposed to the scale of the park. So here they are at Cheeseman, and I duplicated that exact size to show you the size of them at the Babe Ruth field. And the Babe Ruth field, of course, is considerably bigger than the Little League field. Let me see if I have any other slides there's a good picture of them from afar. These are the ones at Black. And these are the smiles generated inside of a dugout. So that's it. The dugout presentation was quite light.
All right, then. Any other questions, Peter, Diane?
Lou, I also remember when there were no dugouts for the high school team.
Yes, and I played my first game last night for Babe Ruth. I'm now coaching my 13-year-old son. My first time even in those dugouts, other than looking for rakes, and it was a good experience. So I'm glad they're there too.
All right, Michelle, can you move down? We have a motion slide on this one.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen now so
Right.
that
Okay, great.
I think we're good now.
Over to the vice chair then.
So I move to approve the installation of, I believe it's 2 scoreboards and the 2 dugouts for Pingree Park as proposed by the Little League, the Hamilton Wenham Little League at Pingree Park as described on May 18th, 2022.
Peter Clay seconds.
Any further comments? Roll call vote then, Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes,
Gary, yes. And thank you, Lou, for their presentation and also for, having this marvelous opportunity for, as you said, 400 plus children in the towns. Thank you.
Great.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Right.
I'm going to head to a game that I'm now 9 minutes late for at Patton. And have a great
Good
meeting.
night.
thank you, Lou.
Yep.
Bye.
Yep.
All right, on to item B then. Do we have a speaker for this one? If not, I can take it. So this is turning into an annual outing for the Bucher 5th graders to come for Friends and Fun and Picnic Day on June 14th and a backup date of June 16th at Pingree Park. So it's one of those get out of class free days and enjoy the outdoors and have some outside classes. Any real questions on this one, Peter or Diane?
Nope.
All right. So Diane, over to you.
Yes, definitely. I move to approve the use of the Pingree Park for the Bucher Fifth Grade Friends Fun and Picnic Day on June 14th, 2022, with a rain date of June 16th.
Peter Clay seconds.
Any further comments? Otherwise, roll call vote. Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes,
Gary, yes. Passes unanimous. Thank you. All right, so a discussion prevention vote. This is a tree donation, but I think we're going to roll this to another meeting until we can get in place a tree policy and a broader use of a public space policy. I know that Kate is working diligently on those two policies, but need a little bit more time. So we'll just roll past C and on to D then.
excuse me, Gary, who's
Yes.
working on the policies? Did I miss that?
Kate, our Concom,
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
and that involves monuments, trees, parks, public use. And as Tom didn't mention tonight, but they are very complicated subject of flags, which the KP Law is working on as well. So we're making progress, but we'll get to it here.
Great.
All right, on D. All right, so Tom, do you want to take this one?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have a list of individuals who have requested for vacation carryover. In the town of Wenham, vacation carryovers have to be approved by the select board. We have a list, and generally it's like you cannot carry over more than a week. But for the second straight year, due to COVID, there are a few of them who are requesting more than a week. What we have included that it had to be used by no later than the end of the year, December 31st. This would not set a precedent for additional carryovers, and we would not be doing this effectively for a third consecutive year. This would be the last year that we would allow their vacation carryovers in excess of the 1 week.
So certainly the vacation plans were not terminated, but certainly impacted last fall with the COVID surge. And again, this spring, it's been difficult to get people off on the vacation. So we approved this last year. And I think all three board members saw the list in the packet. So over to Peter and Diane, comments?
No, I support this.
Same as well.
All right.
Me as well. Let's
All right,
speak.
so let's just move on to Diane's motion then.
So I move to approve the fiscal year 22 vacation carryover request as presented to us on 5/18/2022 without setting a precedent for fiscal year 2023, saying that the vacation carryovers must be used no later than December 31st, 2022.
Peter Clay seconds.
Very well. Any further comments? Otherwise, roll call vote. Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes,
Gary, yes. Passes unanimous. Thank you. On to E. All right, so this is a local neighborhood tradition. Is there anyone online tonight to speak to this one? If not, I'll take it. So Puritan Road and Mayflower Drive for quite some time have had annual summer block parties, something that other neighborhoods might consider as well. But this has been coordinated with the police and Public Works. We'll be putting up kind of a sawhorse type road blocks on that street. So close off the street temporarily on that day. And I hope the people have a safe and good get together. Questions on this one, Peter or Diane?
Nope.
All right.
so I move to, oh, wait a minute, Tom has.
Tom's got a question.
I'm not going home. I'm the guest. I'll never leave. Question for history question for Gary and Diane, maybe Peter has. Do we have a procedure or a formal process for requesting block party closures versus just a letter coming in?
I do not believe so. So another one for the administrative change
Oh.
list, but I think it's, this has been kind of the only one that's come forward the last few years.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
kind of a unique.
Because I've done them before, and if it was an issue that we had numerous ones,
Hmm.
I would just basically, no charge, just send you the draft and what you need to do. But if this is literally just a one-time thing, then it's really probably not that much of an issue. The one thing to think about, and maybe this is, Gary's told me this has been an ongoing annual event, so it's probably not a fit, that is, I'd like to have, when someone requests a block party, that they get approval from the residents on their street
Hmm.
to submit basically a petition that we support having a block party on Walnut Road versus someone just having a party there and not telling anybody and setting up barriers. Just a thought.
All right, yes, good idea. We'll go formal.
So wouldn't this be a part of that policies we were just talking about, public spaces?
Yes,
Like, so this could be put right into there as well, right?
Not necessarily, Diane, I'm sorry.
No?
It's a little different because the one that Gary's talking about is use of public space. This is use of a public way, which is a little bit different than
Okay.
use of a public space. But if it's one of these where if it's not really been an issue in Wenham, you know, I don't need to reinvent the wheel if it's just as like this, but I've been in bigger towns where particularly from Memorial Day to Labor Day, we literally had a street closing in almost every weekend. And there were some residents that weren't too happy about it on their particular streets, that they weren't notified. So that's why we began this process, that whoever was the organizer would have to go to all the homes and at least get a majority of the homes in support of having the party, but don't need to do anything if this is basically just a one-time.
Well, I wouldn't say that, and I wouldn't want to be in the, where it all of a sudden became a problem. So I think maybe if we could add this to that list of policies, even though it's a
Yes.
public way, there is a procedure, so we can't block off every street just because someone sent us a letter.
Right.
I think it should be put down.
I can send you my PDF and you can take a look at it. It basically covered all the events, plus also the sign off of public safety and public works on the form.
sounds great.
Yeah.
Right. Anything else, Peter?
Oh,
Diane? You got the motion
Nope.
then?
Yep, I move to approve the annual block party road closure for Puritan Road and Mayflower Drive for Sunday, June 26th, pursuant to the recommendations of the Public Safety and Public Works Departments.
Peter Clay seconds.
Any further comments? Otherwise, roll call vote. Peter?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes,
Gary, yes. Passes unanimous. Thank you. On to F. All right, so this is a resolution, a climate change resolution presentation from a group that we've invited in tonight. So we have, I believe, 2 speakers on this matter. Are they present?
Yes, we are.
Right.
It's Bob Knowles and Sue Petrolia. We're both here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So do we need to share slide host here again, or
We're not going to share anything, are we, Sue?
Well, I
Oh,
can,
wait.
there it
Look.
is, yeah.
Oh,
There it
there
is,
you
all
go.
right.
Oh, perfect. Great. Excellent.
so if you would introduce yourselves, your address and where you're coming from on this.
Sure. I'm Bob Knowles, 201 Main Street in Wenham. Lived here since '98. And Sue, why don't you can.
New Petrolia, 6 Eaton Road, Wenham.
Thank you.
So Bob, why don't you start off, since Bob has presented this to Hamilton previously?
All right.
Sure. So let's see. So where do I start? So back in September, I reignited the Hamilton Wenham Green Team. and for the purpose of really advancing what they did 10 years ago, which is Hamilton and Wenham became the first green communities in the state, or among the first green communities in the state. And so Sue and Greg Horner were two members with me. And we got things going again in September after almost 10 years of dormancy. And really for the sole purpose, has been my mantra since then, which is Hamilton and Wenham just aren't doing enough as far as trying to be zero, net zero energy by 2040. So that's really the basis of this entire resolution is how are we going to do it? What are we going to do? And how are we going to pay for it to go basically net zero carbon by 2040? So that's the backbone of the whole resolution. The state of Massachusetts is also doing the same thing under the DOER and under Governor Baker. So we're trying to move lockstep and mirror what they're also doing. And I think, so we've come a long way since September. We actually were able to get on the Hamilton annual town meeting warrant article. We were the last warrant article at town meeting on April 2nd. And it was at that time that there was a lot of Q&A and a very productive meeting. And in the end, the resolution, which is basically the same thing that you see here, was overwhelmingly passed at annual town meeting. So we were able to get everything in motion in March and actually have it become a warrant article and passed at Hamilton town meeting. We tried to do the same with Wenham, but between interim town managers and hiring a new town administrator, it was just too complicated. So Wenham hasn't been moving quite as quickly as Hamilton has, but that's why we're here now, because we think the timing is right with all that we've accomplished over the last couple of months. So we've
I'm
had
sorry,
some-
Bob, can I interrupt for a second? This is Diane
Sure.
Go. I'm baffled on the Hamilton Wenham Green team or your committee. Did we appoint people? Is this a new committee? When did this even? I don't recall.
Sorry, I'll answer that. Hi, Diane. It's
Okay.
Sue.
Go ahead.
Hi, Sue.
We're just a volunteer community group with the Hamilton Wenham Green. We did, does everyone remember Hamilton Wenham Green? Anyone go back that far?
I
We
believe
did
so, but
Green Communities. I was the Hamilton Wenham
Yep.
sustainability coordinator at that time. We pushed through, we got through Green Communities designation. We did the street lights. We worked with the recycling committee, did a ton of grant getting for energy reduction, energy use reduction. So, and then, we just all sort of burnt out after 2 or 3 years.
Right.
So it's a private group that just
It's
calls itself
just a community group.
just a
Yep,
community group,
Yeah,
bringing this to us.
volunteer, right?
that's
Concerned,
correct.
Okay.
concerned community members
Okay,
about the
Thank you.
climate.
I
Yeah.
was lost on that. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, volunteer group of folks, 5 of us so far. I've been in the solar industry since 2010. Utility scale, large scale solar development across Massachusetts. We've just done 9 or 10 projects in Massachusetts over that time. So one of the things that's come up, and Diane, I think you might have talked to Vicky at some point in the last few days about this, but after town meeting, there was some chatter about my, any kind of conflict of interest with me being in the solar industry. And I just want to get that out on the table right now and just say that there is absolutely none, really, because Select Energy 3 years ago won an RFP through Power Options. So they're really the chosen solar developer for Hamilton and Wenham. And fortunately, I've been working really closely with Vicky on trying to get more solar into Hamilton and Wenham. So there's absolutely no conflict. There's no monetary benefit to me. I don't, this is strictly a volunteer position for me. So I just wanted to let folks know that.
But so you
Um,
do own a solar company
I do.
presenting solar information to us
Right.
for the good of the town, and I have no problem with that, but there's an appearance there, so I appreciate
Yeah.
you saying that. I don't understand how there's not a conflict, but
Yeah,
Uh,
well, there's no conflict because I've been actually resisting wanting to do what I'm doing with Sue and Greg and Scott Regan and Gretel Clark since September. Really because my job, a lot of my job is dealing with municipalities on a day-to-day basis.
mhm.
So honestly, the last thing I wanted to do was more municipality work. But I just turned 60 and I'm not going to live forever. And I have all this expertise that I want to volunteer to the town to help push the towns in the right direction. So that's really why I'm doing this from a personal standpoint. So hope that makes sense. But anyway, yep,
Greg,
go ahead.
Bob, I'm just going to jump in here and be a little bit bigger picture.
Yeah, go.
So this is a climate change resolution. It is non-binding. There is nothing in it that holds you to anything. It's full of a lot of great suggestions and goals and hope fors. I'm assuming everyone sort of breezed through it. There's a lot of conversation about, why we need to do this and what we've done so far and what other places have done. One of the things that when I sort of bubbled back out of my closet back into the environmental world, I looked around. I was going to start a regional climate change group, which would be like the 13 towns around us that we could start to do stuff together. I looked at, and I went to a number of meetings with Beverly and Salem to see what they were doing. And I was completely amazed at what they have done. They combined their efforts together. They have a 2-town, they've set up a whole, they know where they stand. They've set up a whole, what's the word I'm looking for, Bob? They did a whole checklist of where they stand environmentally in terms of solar and energy efficiency and, all that stuff. Now, I did hear the water board, so they're not doing well in water. And then they went at it. They went at it with grants. They went at it with everything. They've just put up a brand new police station in Beverly that's completely net zero. It's amazing. If you ever have time to go look at the Salem Beverly Climate Action Team, or whatever the general thing is they're calling it, it's just the things they've done are amazing. So I began to think, when back in the day, Hamilton and Wenham were really cooking. We were all over the papers. We just first in doing all this. We were great, and then we just all, me included, just sort of burnt out. So that was the genesis of, and Bob started really percolating. He wanted to see what we could do. We got Greg on board. Vicky's been helpful with helping us find out where things stand. And we searched everywhere for solar places. We looked at the Hamilton shops. We looked at the apartments, the low-income apartments are behind them. We looked at we drove around, looked at rooftops. We did a lot of searching, and then we hit on this idea of a resolution. So that's generally what this is. Again, it's non-binding. There's nothing that's going to cost you anything at this event. It's not going to be, nothing bad's going to happen if we miss our marks. There is one ask in this. If we can scroll down, well, I can just tell you that what the ask is that if and when both towns and the school district that has its own resolution, which we presented to them last week, at least to the superintendent. If everyone approves of these resolutions, we would want to try to set up a Hamilton Wenham School District climate action committee of some sort that would be someone from the board of Hamilton, the board of Wenham, the board of the school district, so that everyone everyone would hear the same things. Everyone would put all their ideas on the table, and it would be complete clarity, which I think has been sometimes a problem between everyone's deciding what they want to do in their own silos. And projects can be vetted and thrown out there and, prioritized. The school district is the biggest user of energy between the two towns. It is a huge financial commitment between the two towns. And a lot of the things in here are maybe they're gonna cost some money up front, but there's a deluge of grant monies out there coming out of the woodwork every day. And I'm not even in it anymore. Every day I see stuff coming from MAPC, coming from green communities, coming from everywhere. Electrification of buses and fleets and EV charging stations and solar and everything. So we're not Hamilton, Wenham, and the school district are not at a place where we can make use of any of these grants, because we need to be ready and have projects ready. So the only main ask of this is that you agree to be part of a group like that.
Yeah.
And then underneath, once the projects get settled, underneath, we're envisioning community subcommittees that have expertise like Bob does, and like this other guy we're working with, Scott, who is an energy efficiency expert, to find the grants, to figure out, the technicalities of how we would do it, if we could do it. They know the people, and sort of get that going. That's kind of the way we would hope it would work. But as a whole, there's nothing binding in this.
Right. Can I add one thing, and then we'll do a Q&A with the board and
Definitely.
keep it moving. Whoever's controlling the screen, can you just go to the 1, 2, and 3, 4, just move the screen up a little bit more there, right there. So there's just quickly, there's 4 main buckets to all this. And there's a handful of local North Shore towns that are doing very similar resolutions. Rockport, Marblehead, Beverly and Salem, as Sue mentioned, have their own massively comprehensive plans. That cover a lot. Yeah, and right, Ipswich. So there, more and more towns are coming on board. So those are the 4 key buckets: just conservation and efficiency. So Scott Regan has been working for Hatch Data, and he was able to pro bono donate that software platform to the regional high school. And Tom Geary has been actually using it with Vicky and Scott. And there is some low-hanging fruit today in the high school that can be done to lower energy costs and lower energy consumption without any impact. So it's incredibly valuable software that he's donated to the high school. So that's number 1. Number 2, obviously more fossil fuels, trying to do more solar. Can we do power purchase agreements with wind farms in other areas? That's a long shot, but there are other things you can do as well with geothermal energy, electric heat pumps, and then 3, electrification of the municipal auto fleet. So police cars should be electric, I would say, in the next 10 years. Let's try to do that. Why shouldn't we? Costs are coming down. Battery technology is going up. It's advancing. And then 4, just composting, recycling, plastic reduction. So those are the 4 key buckets that we think, eventually, once formal committees are formed, would focus on and really go after. So with that, I think we'll stop and see if folks have some questions.
Peter, you want to go first?
Yeah, so Bob and Sue, we are just in the process of doing our first master plan in like 60 years. And there are a lot of people with a lot of ideas, me being one of them, on different issues that need to be addressed right away, but they have to be done within the context of the master plan.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle, can you do me a favor?
Sure.
So that document I sent you,
Yes.
can you possibly pull that up and share it?
Yes.
Interesting
Please.
that while we're doing that, just Peter, and interesting when we were meeting with Eric, the superintendent at the schools, he brought up the question of master plans, and there isn't mention about master plans. When Hamilton is pretty far along in its master plan, I know the school is trying to start their own. That would be a great place to
So I think you
put
guys
this in.
can really help us. Can you go to page 2, Michelle? Purpose, okay. So where does it say?
Climate resiliency and sustainability, is that what you're
Yeah,
looking for?
climate resiliency and sustainability, right?
Right.
Okay, then go to the second bullet. It's gonna be done for the next 10 years. So holy shit, if you guys can actually help, we may get way ahead of 2040,
Oh, there's no question.
right?
I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, in fact, we
And
have a
then-
grant, the town, both Hamilton and Wenham both have a grant together that is supposed to be giving us expertise on how to set a climate action plan.
Michelle, can you go to page 5, please?
So,
Whoa. Yeah, right there. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Sustainability. Right
Bing.
there. Bing, right there. I think it's
Okay.
line 10. This should also include a discussion on energy and explore local, blah, 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 blah. Maximize energy efficiency and renewable energy opportunities, support land, energy, water, and materials conservation strategies, local clean power generation, innovative industries, address climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions and the consumption of fossil fuels. So, we're completely aligned. This is the RFP that went out.
Yeah.
And we just agreed. It was last meeting that we approved. Yes.
and Peter,
Right.
Peter, just so I'm clear, the RFP calls for a consultant to formulate a plan, or what is it? What was it?
So it is a consultant who's done master plans a lot. And we're going to work with said consultant, and we're probably going to have to create a committee of people who can help in different areas, like you guys, for this narrow area. It's not
Just
narrow.
full disclosure, I did offer to be on the master plan committee about 6 months ago when they started, or 8 months ago, and they decided at that point, maybe they just weren't ready, but yes, one of us would like to be supportive
So-
of that for sure.
So I will connect, if you guys, Gary, Diane, if you guys are okay, I'm gonna connect them with Ann.
Yes. Yeah, certainly this is one of the key areas for Wenham's future over the next 10, 20, 30 years. So that, yeah, it has to be integrated into the master plan. And it sounds to me like we have some volunteers that can provide expertise into the planning board's whole
Yep.
master plan process. So.
Yes.
We've opened up our meetings, so, we started a website. There's really just 4 or 5 of us, so we're kind of like an ad hoc little group, but we started a website where you can sign up to, to get involved. And we are finding unbelievable support from the community, how they really want to get involved, and so much expertise all over everything. Communications and water and trees and, land use. It's unbelievable.
Diane?
Yep. So back to the, Michelle, when you get a chance, you can bring back the proclamation. So you guys are bringing us this to see if we would adopt it or accept it, in hopes that all the entities we're talking about, the school district and Hamilton and us, can start to work together and bring about these amazing changes that are so important. Is that correct? So that's
That's
really
pretty
the
good
reason, the
synopsis.
resolution. Yeah, so I think it's all awesome. And if we could see it again, there were just a couple things like that said, we don't have, certain things that don't relate to, I can't even speak, to Wenham. There was something in there about a pay as you go or pay as you throw. We
That
don't
was a
have that.
prior program, right, Sue?
No, it's partial. It is a partial pay as you throw. You have that because you can only use
You
one
do?
garbage can and you have to buy a bag for the other. I was really involved in
Oh.
that program when it started.
I didn't realize that's what it was called, but yes,
Yeah,
okay, so
yeah.
if we could just go back down to the, up to the
It's
resolution part.
called PAYT, Diane, if you really want to know.
It was,
I love all those little
At
things,
least you
but
have your name back. I'm proud of you.
I liked it on the other one. And the other kid,
Section was
thought I
it?
saw something else that didn't sound like we had in Wenham, but you went over this?
I changed that. Yeah, when we wrote one general one and I made that specific to Wenham.
Okay,
right.
yeah.
I mean,
So
I'm not saying it's perfect by any means there. I mean, and that you are welcome to
Doing
change
great, Michelle.
whatever you like.
So
No, I
let's,
think it's
uh,
great. So it's asking us to commit and join and come together with the climate action plan. The climate action plan would then move forward to work for a variety of different, those 4 buckets that you said,
Right.
to try to bring us into a better way to be here in the towns. So I think
And
it's a great
financially, I
idea.
think it'll be financially rewarding. What I really can't stress enough is that we need to be prepared. We need to have a climate action plan. We won't get any grants unless we have a plan. And
That
we
was
need
the
to be
key. That got
prepared
me.
with
Okay,
those major, event things. The Green Communities is doing a great job. I think it's close to $2 million we've gotten from them, mostly for
Mhm.
energy efficiency, but also the streetlights were $67,000. That was free, all because we were ready. And so that's what we need to be. We need to be ready. And
Okay.
that's
I
what
agree.
gets me excited.
So, and then Diane,
But-
just one quick thing to add, and then we can close it up. But so when we created the warrant article, I drafted the warrant article for Hamilton's annual town meeting in April. And so we sent this document that you're looking at with Wenham, or sorry, Hamilton replaced basically with the word for Wenham. And KP Law basically did their thing and trimmed it down. The guts of it are really the same, in the spirit of transparency here with Hamilton. They simplified it a bit. They took out the 4 buckets, but they kept all of the first, 2 or 3 pages of this.
Mhm.
One of the interesting things they said was, you guys don't actually have to go to annual town meeting for 2/3 citizens vote. The
Right,
select board can actually vote to adopt the resolution on their own. So we ended up going to annual town meeting anyway, because we saw it as more of a promotional platform and launching pad for us, as opposed to just getting the vote, but just so that everybody on the line here understands that the select board, according to KP Law, can in fact vote to adopt the resolution on their own without annual town meeting.
right.
So-
And I think you'll get a bang for your buck even without the town meeting, because with this, it'll be up there, but then you can go forward and we can get together and make this
Right.
Right.
coalition group and get some, appoint some members and really get a
Right.
town.
I'm very
meeting.
excited about the school district being involved too and having they
Yeah.
were very happy to have their own resolution. We were unaware even if they do resolutions, but there was a lot of discussion about, from my point of view, the school district, they're in charge of our kids. They hold our future. And if we can get them excited about this stuff, that they were saying in the high school, maybe there's this class that can take over watching what their energy is doing.
Yeah.
For example, we were looking at the data and January 11th, something kicked on in the high school, middle school complex. No one knows what it was or what happened. And it was on, sucking energy, a lot of energy straight. And you can see it, just the straight line across until in the middle of April. And then it shut itself off. And so that's something cool that kids could watch for. So I was excited about that.
Yeah.
That's great.
All right. So for tonight, then let's, we'll get Steve comes on board next Monday. We'll look at integrating this with the Concom and Planning Board and the other appropriate committees to take a look at how we can best move this forward within the master planning area. Because, for one reason, we already have funds in place for the master plan. So we just use that vehicle perhaps to get this started. Any other
So do you not want to vote to accept this resolution?
I think the resolution there was not planned to have a vote tonight. It's not published on the agenda. And I think, town hall staff needs to take a look at it as well as the new town administrator coming on.
Really?
Well, it's, I see, great stuff here, but I think we need to have a check against how we're going to go forward. Just saying we're going to make 25% by this year and 50 by that year. I really think that we ought to have, the full plan in place and say, not just, numerical goals, but actually what are we going to do within those 4 buckets in Wenham? How are we going to introduce more solar on the municipal buildings? and so
I
forth?
misunderstood because I believe the way I understand it was this just a resolution that we are going to, our goal would be to do all this stuff, but the immediate goal is just to agree to this so that we could form a plan and a committee
Hmm.
and be ready to take on grants as they come. I don't think it goes anything against the master plan or anything against any of the town departments. I think it's a resolution of our intent to be more energy efficient and environmental.
Right?
That,
So
Yeah,
I don't-
that's the intent.
that's exactly right, Diane. Gary, this is it's exactly right. This is a resolution and an intent. There is a hell of a lot of work to do to actually create a plan, which we hope we can get a grant for the consultant and the RFP and all that for both towns.
Right.
So this is really just Wenham making a commitment to this as a concept. And it's non-binding, which, okay.
Yeah,
It can
so
become-
I'm all for
Yeah.
it, but I just want to make sure that with our other board members that, as in many other things, this is our first look. We did not plan a motion, but Diane, if you want to make a motion here, then
I do. I feel as if this
Yeah.
is something we definitely want to take a stand on. I think it's
Right.
something we want to say, yes, we're going for it, just as we did the proclamation for Indigenous Peoples' Day and we did other things. It's kind of in that same vein.
Mm.
So if you'll indulge me, I will try to do a motion, although I know Catherine T is there to back me up. So I would move that the Wenham Select Board accept the climate change resolution as presented on May 18th by the Hamilton Wenham Green Team, Hamilton
Hamilton
Wenham
Wenham Climate Action Team. We
Climate
updated our
Action
name.
Team, as written in the packet. Catherine T, what did I forget?
I think you just want to reiterate that it's non-binding.
Okay, the non-binding climate change resolution presented by the Hamilton Wenham Climate Action,
Climate
Good
action
job.
team. Yep.
Climate Actors Team on May 18th, 2022. Do I get a second?
Peter Clay seconds.
All right. Any further discussion? If not, the roll call vote to accept this resolution. Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Gary, yes. All right, so we got the resolution and we'll through hopefully the master plan and volunteers such as yourself, Sue, that will get
Yep.
some very important stuff done here.
Thank you very
right.
much. Just want to mention it is my birthday. And
Happy
this is a
birthday.
really great present. I appreciate it.
All right, sounds good.
Did you want me to sing?
Many more successes. We'll make it an annual date.
Thank
Okay,
you all.
good deal.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
explaining.
All right, do we have an item G? So is Martha Brennan online?
I
here?
am.
All
I'm
right.
on here.
You're up.
Okay, so I'd like to thank the board for letting me have a few extra days to nail down some of the details for the Pride event. And just wanted to go through some of that because some of the things were a little bit loose when we spoke about 2 weeks ago. So our for people who are new, the Human Rights Committee is envisioning what we're calling a Pride flag raising and community meetup. So we're thinking people are going to come out of hibernation and come down to town hall and, support and confirm our commitment to being a very welcoming community. And in that, we've lined up the police and fire. And thank you, Chief Kavanaugh is going to haul out all the trucks for the kids to touch, which is always a big hit. And they were both, as they did last year, the two chiefs will be raising the pride flag. We also have First Church in Wenham. Reverend Sue is going to do a blessing, as Reverend Mike Duda did last year. They're also going to have a mini a cappella choir who will sing prior to the flag raising, and they're going to be doing some chalking of the sidewalks with your permission with the kids in front of Town Hall. In a conversation I had today with representatives from First Church, we had originally envisioned maybe doing some of the activities in the circle across the street, but in thinking about it from a public safety perspective, we decided all the events should be on the town hall lawn. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. So the other groups involved are the Tea House Restaurant and the Wenham Museum, who will be doing some arts and crafts and face painting. Tea House is probably going to do some kind of a wrapped food giveaway, and they are coordinating with the Board of Health on that. And then we also have the participation of Nazir's Fine Jewelry, who is going to come over and do some bubbles and other things. And then there'll be also 2 tables with representatives from NAGLI, which is the North Shore Alliance for Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer Youth, giving out information, and some people from the North Shore Pride group, which is a more regional group. So the ask tonight regarding the event is just that, we have this event on Town Hall lawn. We're envisioning it would go from about 6 to 7:30 with the actual flag raising at 6:30. We would have needs possibly some logistical help with sound system and tables, but I have a backup plan for that if that's not available. Were there any questions, concerns?
Peter,
Nope.
Diane,
Do we have a sound system that we can help you with? I don't know if we have anything.
Last year, I might be remembering it wrong, but last year I seem to remember that we had like a microphone and speaker. Like I said, I have a backup that I can bring from my work to do it.
I think
if we don't.
the microphone speaker resides in the fire department. But
Oh, okay.
Yes, we had one.
That was the missing link. I knew Jackie had produced it, but I didn't know where it came from.
Yes, we did have one, but then I believe they switched it out to a different one.
I'll bring the one I know. There's a Wenham resident who he uses it to do karaoke and stuff. So I think that'll be fine for what we do. Other questions?
Nope. Peter,
I'm good.
Diane, good?
I'm good too. I'm sorry I
Right.
can't be there.
Right, Diane had, I didn't know, Peter, if you might be available that day, again, Wednesday, June 1st, to just do the welcome from the select board comments.
I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be here. I'm
Okay,
going to be down in Philadelphia.
all right, well, I can do that as the appointed town person from the HRC. So the only other thing was, and Gary, you had brought this up when we spoke earlier, in the last couple of years, we've installed lights to light up town hall in rainbow colors. I don't know if that's available to do
Yeah, I
this
think
year.
we'll have to check with Mike Hardy, but I think the illumination equipment is still available.
Yeah, he has all that. I think
Yeah,
he'd be.
got all
fine
the
doing it.
colors.
Yeah. Mhm.
All right.
Yeah, okay, that's great. So
Great.
I don't know if any of this needs to be voted on. The second part of my request was actually a resolution recognizing Pride Month. And so Diane set this up beautifully with the last speakers. It was and I don't know if you can bring that up.
Mhm.
Basically, I looked at some other towns of similar size. I did a lot of research of different ways you can do the resolution, but I kept ours kind of simple. Do you have that, Michelle? Coming, okay. Just like I said, it's a way of affirming this community within our community, and that we support them, and that, you know, we foster acceptance, and that we look askance at mistreatment and discrimination. And, you know, it's a kind of a feel-good resolution that doesn't cost anything. And I think more importantly, that it doesn't cost anything. It says something when the municipal body affirms these kinds of proclamation, because it helps people be seen within the community. One of the most poignant pieces of feedback we got after the flag raising was, well, two things. One of the speakers last year said this, that if his town, when he was a 13-year-old boy, had raised a pride flag in his town, it would have meant all the difference to him, you know, that he wasn't an outcast. And I think those are the kinds of things that we do, and we might never hear that feedback, but by asserting our positive community values, I think in the long run, we're doing a lot of good.
Well, thank you. So Diane, I think we got two parts here. If you can make a motion on the resolution, and then a separate motion on the use of a town hall lawn or
Okay.
support public place.
So does anyone know if we have had made the resolution or proclamation to be a no place for hate? Because I feel as if some of these things, I mean, they're all under that. I understand that each one is a little bit separate, but
I believe that Gene Jones did that many years ago, went for no place for hate. I know there was some discussion about that, and I don't know, that might be something that we could look into as our Human Rights Committee, Diane.
I think I'd like you to, because I have a feeling that we have not done that,
Okay.
and I think that we should. But so I'm going to go ahead first and make a motion to approve all the plans. I move to approve all the plans set forth on May 18th by the Human Rights Coalition for the Pride flag raising. There was a name. What was the name, Martha?
Pride flag raising and community meetup.
That on June 1st, 2022, as explained today.
And if I could just amend that to make it the Human Rights Committee, not coalition.
Yes.
Yes.
Different
So-
groups, right?
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
get that straight. All right,
you.
so do I have a second?
Peter Clay seconds.
All right, roll call vote. Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Gary, yes. All right,
And so
then-
as part of the motion for the proclamation, I'd like to read it. I think it should be heard. So I'm
Right.
sorry, Michelle, can you put it back up? I'm becoming very difficult, I know.
No,
We're very precise.
All right. So Diane, also, do you want to make a motion in here to, you know, the Human Rights Committee has been an advisory board to the Select Board. Do you want to ask the Human Rights Committee to study and report back to us on the hate proposal?
I would.
All right, so.
Do I have
one-
to add?
One
do I
at a
have to make
time here.
motion
You
for
got
that?
it.
Okay,
Right.
I'll do the easy one first. I'd like to move that we ask the Human Rights Committee to research Wenham's acceptance of no place for hate.
Seconded
And
by Peter
report
Clay.
Right. No more comments. Peter, roll call vote.
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Gary, yes.
And so finally, I move that we approve the Pride Month proclamation as presented by the Human Rights Committee, which states, whereas the town of Wenham is a friendly and welcoming community that celebrates and promotes diversity and inclusion. Whereas the town of Wenham affirms its commitment to uphold and defend the rights of all individuals to enjoy the free and equal exercise of their rights and privileges as secured by the constitutions of the United States and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Whereas the town of Wenham is dedicated to fostering acceptance of all its residents and preventing discrimination and mistreatment based on sexual orientation or gender identity. And whereas the town of Wenham is strengthened by and thrives upon the rich diversity of ethnic, cultural, racial, gender, and sexual identities of its residents, all of which contribute to the vibrant character of our town. And whereas the town of Wenham recognizes the importance and contributions of members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning LGBTQ community, therefore the town of Wenham proclaims that June of 2022 shall be known as Pride Month.
Seconded by Peter Clay.
Any further comments? Roll call vote then, Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Gary, yes, unanimous as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Diane, for reading that. I got a little choked up.
All right.
Thank you.
And Martha, now you're walking away with a task,
Nope.
here, remember?
I do. I have it written down. Don't worry.
All Very well. Yes, Tom.
Thank you.
Just a little, I'm sorry, I'm gonna lower the hand. Just a little, Martha, stay on for a second. Just a little background, because I was involved many years ago with the No Place for Hate program. That was around the early 2000s that it happened. And a number of communities around 2005 or so started dropping out of the program. There was some controversies involved with it, and some communities were dropping out. I believe Hamilton dropped out or didn't include themselves. I just saw something on that back in the early 2000s, and developed some other type of program that wasn't affiliated with No Place for Hate, because that was affiliated with the Anti-Defamation League and the Mass Municipal Association. And MMA was taking a great deal of heat on that. And I believe they eventually dropped out of that program, and the ADL kept continuing with that. I haven't found anything on our system that we were a member of it, but I can keep following up on that. But back when I saw the article regarding Hamilton, it didn't mention anything about Wenham being involved in it, but the board even possibly, which is doubtful, possibly gone to town meeting with it, but the board is the one that would have accepted it, but I couldn't find anything that we had. And that would have been about 18, 20 years ago.
All right. Thank you, Tom. So Martha, you got your task, and we'll be looking forward to you coming back on meeting down the line with that information. How's that sound?
That sounds great. We'll get right
right.
on it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martha.
All right. So does that bring us to the end, Michelle? No, we got the shared assessors agreement. Yep. All right. So I think, Tom, you've got this one.
Certainly. Looking forward to this. This is something I actually somewhat inherited. I think Ryan started it with Hamilton and with Joe, their town manager. In fact, Joe was briefing it on when we met him for dinner before I came on back the second time, and says, "You're going to have to get this approved." So it's like, thank you, Joe. Let me start the job again before we deal with this. But this is a very good program that was started by all the parties involved, the assessors, select board, which would end up sharing our services, the assessing services between the towns. It is at a prime time for us because our assessing director is retiring, and our administrative assistant had retired just around when I was leaving the first time. For an additional $43,000, which we approved at town meeting, we will have a full-time assistant assessor in the office here to wait on any customers, take any inquiries, reviewing properties, making a very serious look at our new growth. And between the two communities, we'll also have a full-time assessing director who will be shared. Oops, I'm sorry, I don't know what that was. Full-time assessing director to be shared by the two communities. This is very beneficial. Town council has reviewed the agreement and has approved it. I made one change, which Hamilton agreed to, where the town of Wenham, after 3 years, would have an opportunity to become, if we so desire, the lead community in the project. So that leaves the door open that if we want to take that over, we can, regarding how it works. Besides the improved customer service by having a full-time accredited assessor in the office next door to this office, they also have the opportunity to be able to, I think, make a more realistic determination on new growth in the community, which adds to the availability of available funds going to a town meeting because they are here full-time. They are able to get out and review properties on a more regular basis, which can change valuations, can review personal property. So this, for the additional 40,000 that we're paying, is probably going to bring back that and more in revenue coming for the community. So it'd be great if the board would vote to approve the shared agreement so we can get going to hire the staff for these positions.
Sounds good. So, yeah, so we should understand too, for the public, that I believe Hamilton has gone several months without an assessor, and ours is planning to retire at the end of June. So it is a very difficult market for this. And with the two towns coming together, we can get one fully qualified assessor that will oversee both towns' assistants. And I think there'll be no change at all in the customer assessor interface as it is now. We'll have somebody in the office there.
Yeah, I
Peter,
actually,
Diane.
it'll improve. It'll be.
Yes,
an
improve.
improvement.
Yep.
Yes.
Peter, any comments?
I think it's a smart move.
Right, Diane?
So yeah, I think it definitely will improve our customer service. My question though, Tom, on that point that you made the change, when I read it in section 2, number 5, it says there'll be discussions on whether to switch the lead community.
Right.
Is that how it's written with the permitting shared services? I mean, it sounds like Hamilton doesn't have to let us be the lead community, or if there are issues with us becoming the lead community. I was just
I
wondering.
can check that, but I can absolutely revise that language to be stronger.
Because it seems to me it should kind of flop 3 years to them, 3 years to us. And I think that's what we do with permitting, but it's
Yeah.
on a 2-year schedule, I think. I'm not sure. But I think it's a great idea. I think it's really important. I also, before we move any further, need to state that I did file a disclosure today. My husband Johnny's on the Board of Assessors. I don't have any financial interest for him or for I with any of this discussion, but there may be sort of an appearance of a conflict of interest. So I did file and stated that there is no appearance. It is a joint agreement between the two towns and the two select boards and the two boards of assessors, and not one person only has made me feel one way or the other. So if you're all comfortable with that, I feel comfortable voting.
Yes, I believe so. You good with that, Peter?
Yep.
All right, all right. Any other questions on this one? All right, then roll call vote, Peter?
I need to do the motion though.
Oh, yeah, need the motion first. Yes. talk about it.
I move to
All right.
approve the shared assessors agreement for Wenham and Hamilton as recommended by the Board of Assessors and shown to us on 5/18/2022. Do I mention anything about the minor amendment that you might do, Tom, or just leave it as is?
Leave it on. I can just make the change.
Okay, period.
Seconded by Peter Clay.
All right, roll call vote, Peter,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
Gary, yes. And thank you to both towns for working on this. The staff I know had a lot of negotiations and study, and also the Board of Assessors put a lot of effort in on this. So I think we'll do well going forward. All right,
Definitely.
Michelle.
Oh,
All right, so other matters. So a quick review here on the dates. So next planned select board meetings are on the 7th of June and the 21st of June. On the 7th of June, in particular, I have expectation of Superintendent Tracy coming to speak to us. We'll do the appointments on all the employee positions. And on the 21st of June, we'll plan to have in place all the appointments to the boards and committees. Otherwise, we have the invitation, I think, to the select board for the American Legion on Sunday, the 29th. Did you see that? We have Memorial Day on the 30th. We have Pride on the 1st. We have Flag Day with the proper American flag disposal that we'll hear about on the 7th more fully. On the 14th, we have Juneteenth falling on 19th, so on the Sunday. So we're doing that on the 20th. And that leads into the next day, select board meeting on the 21st. So did I miss any in there?
I think you just missed the invitation we got from the high school to attend either or both. Candlelight is on June 2nd at 8, and the graduation is on Saturday, June 4th at 10. And I think they probably wanted a little RSVP with whoever's going or not going.
I did RSVP and I'm not going to be here.
Okay. And I plan to go on the 2nd for the candlelight. I haven't seen that in a long time. Is it my computer or Gary?
Gary. We were so close.
We were.
Diane, you're next in line.
All right, so why don't I just go? Okay, so Tom?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to mention, sorry, noted, Superintendent Tracy did confirm this evening that he will be here on June 7th.
Great.
Right. All right, so Tom, seeing as this is your last meeting, just want to say a couple words. So, I mean, I really only met you like a month ago,
Yeah.
right? But you've been very helpful in my orientation process, and it was pretty obvious right away that you're a really great guy. I didn't understand that you were actually a freaking kiss freak, but and so you helped me, you steered me in a couple different directions in terms of getting oriented to be a select board person. And I just want to thank you, and
Thank you.
hope you and your wife have a blast.
Thank you very much, Peter. Appreciate it. I don't know about being a KISS freak. I think KISS fanatic might be actually a better terminology
Right.
for that. But like the band, we're both on the end of the road tour. So seeing them again Saturday night reinforced that this is the end of the road for me also.
Yeah.
But thank you for the kind words.
Yeah, thank you.
I'd like to jump in and thank you as well, Tom. I've thanked you a couple times now these days, but I appreciate you coming back to Wenham again to keep us on track. I especially liked all the information that you always shared with us, from the state budgets to weather to municipal news. Was really helpful to be aware of all those things. Especially the money is always there. That's pretty amazing, looking out for all those grants. But your guidance and support from me has been so appreciated. I can't begin to tell you how much. So I wish you all the best. I hope you have
Thank
a
you.
really fun time enjoying all there is to do outside of Wenham. Really.
Thank you.
And I know Gary probably had some things to say, and I feel terrible that he fell off the earth there.
Well, now you know how it feels to be the interim, Diane.
So I think, maybe
Gary.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
too, Tom, would like to thank you for everything you did for public safety. We made a great team, and I'm truly gonna miss you.
Do you want to, if you speak, hang on,
Steve, that was nice.
you can speak into my microphone and you can talk to Tom.
All right. So, Tom, this is Gary. Do you hear me okay?
I'm fine, Gary.
He says yes.
The hearing
All right.
aids are working
So
great.
it looks like I've lost connectivity on the computer here for some reason. But I did want to follow through on this last meeting to say a very big thank you to Tom for the service he's given to this town over the 2 periods. He's really rescued us twice, has given great information to us on access to grants and to so many improvements that will be going forward in this town. So a big thank you. And if there was a meeting in person, I would hope there'd be a big round of applause. But thank you once again, Tom.
Thank you very much. Thank you for calling me young
And
also.
Diane, if you can hear me, if you'd,
He says thank you, by the way.
all right.
Gary.
And Diane, if as vice chair, can you close out the meeting, take the motion from Peter and have it wrapped up?
Yes, should I do that to a Kiss song or just without music?
He didn't hear
You
that.
can't hear me?
No.
All right. Well, Peter, can you pass that on?
Yep,
to
so
Diane, take it.
it's I move that we close the meeting at 8:16 on May 18th.
I second that. Roll
Okay.
call vote.
Clay says
Pete?
yes.
Ask Gary what he says.
Gary, do you say yes?
Yes, I say yes.
He does say yes.
Say yes too. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you for
We are
the,
adjourned. Thank you,
The
guys.
opportunity to say yes there with the
Right.
computer issues. All right. So we all done then?
We
We
are.
are all done. We
All
can all
right.
leave
Thank you very
happily.
much. And thank you to the audience. If you pass that
Thank
on,
you.
Diane.
Yep. All right.
Thank you. Will do. You
Thank
did a
you.
great job there, Pete. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.